Welcome back to Praxis Test Prep. Passing the Praxis exam is a crucial step for aspiring teachers, and understanding how the scoring process works is essential to achieving success. My name is Bob, and I'm a Praxis Test Prep expert with Study.com, and in today's video, I'm going to walk you through the Praxis scoring system in detail. We will cover everything that you need to know, and make sure to stick around at the end for a walkthrough of how to estimate your final official score. Ready to get started? Let's jump right in. Let's start with the basics. The Praxis exam is a computer-based test that is scored on a scale of 100 to 200. At the simplest level, a score of 100 means you got every question wrong, and a score of 200 means that you got every question correct. If you are taking a test code that is multiple choice only, then your test will be automatically scored by a computer. You will receive an immediate raw score, or the number of questions that you answered correctly. However, you will need to wait for Praxis to send you your official score on the 100 to 200 scale. If you are taking a test code that includes constructed response questions, then you will need to wait for a human scorer to review and score your essay. Constructed response answers are scored on a scale of 1 to 6 and will be reviewed by a minimum of 2 separate qualified scorers. If their scoring of your essay differs by more than 2 points, then a third reviewer will be brought in to settle the difference. And again, this score will then be adjusted by ETS to calculate your final 100 to 200 scaled score. Once you complete your test, you will need to wait for Praxis to send you your official Praxis score report before you can confidently know how you did. These days, this is typically done over email, though you can request a physical copy to be mailed to you as well. For digital copies, you can expect them to be available within 5 days for multiple choice tests and within 15 days for tests that include constructed response questions. Mail will obviously take a little bit longer. Once you receive your score report, you will see 2 different scores, a raw score and a scaled score calculation. Again, the raw score is simply the total number of questions that you answered correctly on the test, plus your constructed response scores when applicable. Let's use Praxis Core Writing Test Code 5723 as an example. This test includes both selected response and constructed response question types. There are 40 multiple choice questions on this test, and let's say you did pretty well here and got 32 out of 40 questions correct. Your raw score for the selected response section would be shown as 32 out of 40. Now, let's move to the constructed response section. There are 2 essays on this test, and let's say you struggled a bit more here, and were given a score of 3 on both essays and by both reviewers. Your raw score for the constructed response section would be shown as 12 out of 24. All right, so you have your raw scores now, but how exactly do you turn that into a single number between 100 and 200? This number, also called your scaled score, is what you care about, as this is the number that will ultimately determine whether or not you passed. Unfortunately, ETS does not share their precise formula for calculating your final scaled score, and so your best bet is to wait until your formal score report comes in. That being said, I know many of you are eager to understand how exactly the scoring system works and how to estimate your final scaled score once you see how many questions you got right. This next part comes with a huge disclaimer, but from our experience of helping thousands of teachers prep for and pass their Praxis, we have found a pretty reliable way of estimating your scaled score. In most cases, the scaled score can be estimated by taking the percent of possible points that you received on your raw score and adding the number 100 to it. Said another way, a scaled score of 157 means that you got approximately 57% of the possible points, or even more simply, you got 57% of the questions right. Let's go back to our example with Praxis Core Writing. On the selected response choice section, you got 32 out of 40 questions correct, or 80% correct. On the constructed response section, you got 12 out of 24 possible points, or 50%. The official Praxis test guide for 5723 also tells us that the multiple choice questions are worth roughly 70% of your score, and the essays are worth roughly 30% of your score. Using this weighting, you would get a total percentage score of 71%, then add 100, and you can estimate that your final scaled score will be around 171. Now again, you won't know this is your scaled score for sure until you receive the official score report from ETS, but until they make their confidential scoring system public, this is the best way to estimate it. Once you have your final score report, the last thing to do is figure out if you passed. Remember, all Praxis exams are pass-fail, and if you included your intended state or program when you registered for the exam, then your score report will show you whether or not your score qualified as passing. And if you forgot to include those or just want to check out other state or program-specific requirements, you can always go to the ETS website directly. I will include a link down in the description that will take you directly to their score requirements page, which they keep very up to date. And I recommend taking a look at your specific passing score requirement ahead of time. And remember, if your scaled score is higher than the requirement, then you passed. To close things out, let's go back to our example score on Praxis 5723 one last time to make this tangible. Your official score report has come in and it looks like your estimation was close and your final official scaled score was 170. I'm going to include a snapshot of the current Praxis 5723 passing score requirements by the state from ETS.com, and here you can see that with a score of 170, you will have confidently passed in all states. Well, that concludes today's video. You now know everything there is to know about how your Praxis exam will be scored. If you would like to join our community of educators, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our Praxis test prep tips and strategies. We're adding more videos to this channel every week as we tackle more of your questions, and don't forget to comment down below with anything that you would like to see us cover next. Happy studying, and we'll see you in our next video.